In the year 1612, a man was being pressed beneath an elephant's foot, not because he was lost in the jungle, but because he was being punished. From the earliest days of human civilization, the human mind has long been capable of dreaming up new and terrible ways to punish alleged transgressors, villains, witches, and anyone else who was unlucky enough to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Today in this video, we're going to delve into some of the most cruel and horrifying methods of punishment ever used. For nearly 4,000 years across South and Southeast Asia, elephants were trained to crush, dismember, or slowly torture condemned prisoners. These intelligent animals were turned into instruments of execution, capable of delivering either swift death or prolonged agony, depending on their trainer's commands. The process was as calculated as it was brutal. Elephants were specifically trained for this purpose, taught to prolong the victim's suffering or end it quickly based on signals from their handlers. Some were trained to break bones one by one, while others would place their foot on the victim's head and slowly apply pressure. The most horrifying aspect? These executions were public spectacles, designed to terrify anyone who might consider defying authority. This method wasn't confined to one region or time period. Historical records show its use from ancient times through the 19th century. The Mughal Empire, various Indian kingdoms, and Southeast Asian rulers all employed this technique. Even the Romans, after conquering territories in the East, adopted this form of execution. The symbolism was clear. The elephant represented the absolute power of the ruler. Just as the elephant was massive and unstoppable, so too was the king's authority. And the condemned, crushed beneath thousands of pounds of animal weight, stood no chance, a message meant for all who witnessed it. But if execution by elephant demonstrated raw power, our next punishment showcased something far more calculated: the breaking wheel. Popular throughout medieval and early modern Europe, the breaking wheel, also known as the Catherine wheel, was reserved for the worst criminals. The condemned would be tied to a large wooden wheel, their limbs stretched outward like spokes. Then, the executioner would take an iron bar or hammer and methodically shatter every major bone in the victim's body. Arms, legs, ribs, each broken with deliberate, crushing blows. The worst part? Death wasn't the goal, at least not immediately. After the breaking was complete, the victim, still alive, would be woven through the spokes of the wheel, their shattered limbs folded at grotesque angles. The wheel would then be mounted on a tall pole and displayed in public, where the victim would remain for hours, sometimes days, exposed to the elements and birds, slowly dying from shock, dehydration, and their injuries. This wasn't just execution, it was a spectacle of suffering, meant to be seen and remembered. Yet perhaps no punishment in human history is as universally recognized as crucifixion. While most associate this method with ancient Rome, crucifixion was actually practiced by multiple civilizations. The Persians, Carthaginians, and various others employed this brutal technique long before the Romans perfected it. But it was Rome that turned crucifixion into an art of prolonged agony and public humiliation. The process was designed to maximize suffering. First, the condemned would be flogged, their backs torn open by whips embedded with metal or bone. Then they'd be forced to carry the heavy wooden crossbeam to the execution site, a final degradation before death. Once there, iron nails would be driven through the wrists and feet, fixing the victim to the cross. But here's what made crucifixion truly horrific. It could take days to die. The position made breathing nearly impossible. Victims had to push up on their nailed feet just to take a breath, causing excruciating pain with every gasp. Eventually, exhaustion, asphyxiation, shock, and dehydration would claim them, but not quickly. Crucifixion wasn't just about death, it was about shame. Victims hung naked, displayed on major roads as warnings. Rome reserved this punishment for slaves, rebels, and the lowest criminals, a message that certain people weren't even worthy of a quick death. While crucifixion stretched death over days, Ancient Greece devised a method that combined artistry with horror, the brazen bull. Created around 560 BC for the tyrant Phalaris of Sicily, the brazen bull was a hollow bronze statue, life-sized and perfectly crafted. The condemned would be forced inside through a door in the side, then locked in. A fire would be lit beneath the metal bowl, and as the bronze heated, the victim would be slowly roasted alive. But the true cruelty lay in the design. The bowl contained a complex system of tubes and acoustic devices that transformed the victim's screams into sounds resembling a bull's bellowing. To spectators outside, it seemed as though the bronze beast was alive and roaring. The person's agony became entertainment. Their final moments turned into a grotesque performance. The method spread beyond Sicily. Various Greek city-states and later rulers adopted the brazen bull, each using it to dispose of enemies while demonstrating their power through this fusion of art and execution. The victim's suffering was hidden inside beautiful craftsmanship, making the horror somehow even worse. These punishments, the elephant, the wheel, crucifixion, and the brazen bull, span thousands of years and multiple continents, yet they all share something in common. They were designed not just to kill, but to send a message. Pain was the language of power, and fear was how rulers maintained control. What's perhaps most disturbing is how public these spectacles were. Executions weren't hidden away. They were community events. People gathered, watched, and remembered. The cruelty was the point. It was meant to be seen, to terrify, to remind everyone what happened when you stepped out of line. Today we look back at these methods with horror, but they remind us of a darker truth about human nature, our capacity for cruelty when we have power over others. These weren't just punishments, they were warnings written in blood and bone, echoing across history. If you found this documentary informative, please like and subscribe for more historical deep dives. Let me know in the comments which historical topic you'd like to see next. Thanks for watching.